Today we're going to talk through the K-pop track Bald and how I produced it. This song started when I was introduced to a TikTok influencer named Ben Russell Lynch. He's the #1 hair influencer on TikTok. Ben is an amazing creative, so funny. What a great shtick. I love his content. And he has a musical theater background. He's been dabbling in creating pop songs and decided he needs a producer, someone to help bring some ideas to life. This was our first track we worked on together, and it was so much fun because we built this song together. We built this city on rock and roll, and we built the song collaboratively, which is my favorite way to work with artists. Let's talk about how this song began. The idea started with Ben using AI to get some of his thoughts out into music. Suno AI to be specific. And when we first met on FaceTime, he played me this song.
Yeah, addie little diva. You ain't never seen one like me. A-L-D, so unique. And all the real baddies know me. Oh, you a baddie.
Hook.
Addie, little diva.
I went right to that. Okay, so what is this? This is really good. AI is very good at getting the essence of what he wanted down as a starting idea. So he put in K-pop, hip-hop beat, drop dance, upbeat as the style. And what it does is create an idea. So it's a 3.5-minute idea. It's the same verse, pre-chorus, chorus over and over. Great, that's what happens in a song. But it starts to get repetitive. It starts to be less interesting. The more you're listening, you're not taken through a sonic journey or a story that keeps your attention. And I know this because A, I'm a musician and a producer, but B, the ultimate test was playing this for my 12-year-old niece, and at about 45 seconds, she got bored. So it's hard to differentiate between verse, pre-chorus, chorus, but there is that one hook, that undeniable hook we saw earlier. I listened to this and started lifting those elements out, saying we're gonna build around that and create a more dynamic track that tells a story and moves the user through and always has something interesting happening to propel that story forward. Okay, let's talk about the very beginning of this track. After I hear the AI idea from Suno AI, I jumped into Ableton and thought, let's lay out the beginning of a bass pattern and a drum pattern that starts to have that kind of feel. The beats and the bass in K-pop borrow a lot from hip-hop, from trap music, and I'm very well versed in those sounds and how to build them. And so I'm also a bass player. This is a great place for me to start. So in looking at the project here, I'm down in one of the first tracks I laid out was a bass line using one of my favorite sub 808 sub plugins, Sublab XL. And I don't go too crazy off in customizing the sound in here. I usually start with a preset, in this case, Analog Moog 808. And then I might turn a few knobs, play with things like decay or sustain on that bass note. And I started thumbing out a bass line that had the feeling of the AI track, maybe even the exact bass line. Let's see.
Yeah, addie, little diva. You ain't never seen one like me. A-L-D, so unique.
So it's something like that in feel. And let's see, it came up with Analog Moog 808. And here's some of the notes. Really simple pattern. Boom, 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 boom. That was the first bass line I laid down. I eventually simplified that bass line, but as a start, I thought it was a really good start. And I saved my settings. So that was the start. I like my drums to hit hard and loud, and K-pop is similar to hip-hop and trap. It's thumpy, it's beat driven, and I started to pull in a couple of drum loops and samples and laying out a beat. I started sourcing some samples, different kicks I like that could give this the start of a big thumpy bass drum. So here's the first pattern I wrote out. Let's get that going with the bass. It's the start. That is the beginnings, the humble beginnings of building this track. Okay, the snare section. Now that I had a basic drum pattern laid out, I started to try out different sounds so we could stack them and really thicken up the beat. It's hip hop, it's going out professionally. These sounds have to be thick. One snare's not gonna cut it. There's a real kink, kink, and that was me. On the snare bus, I compress all of these sounds together. That's them compressed and reverbed. Here they are without. Wow. Very different. Dry. With the drums. So it starts to have a really full, big sound. So those are the snares. I had to draw these in so that it all fit together. So I put those in myself from a hi-hat 808 sample, and then I think these are my fills. Yes. Here I grabbed a triangle top loop sound so that there was just some fun metallic texture over the top. And we recorded some sound effects of his hairbrush. I mean, he's a hair influencer. You need the hairbrush sound effect. So to put it all together, we have the drums, we have wax. I'll show you the wax. There's a whack. And then my last sound effect I threw in here was the sword. There it is. All the bass elements, all the percussion, some sound effects, some wax, and how I started to thicken up and build out what served as the foundation for the song.